Welcome to Boys and Brunch. This is the show where we expose everything going down on the timeline. And today we are talking about Lil Nas X with James Charles, Monique's comments about Black Hollywood bigwigs on Out Loud with Claudia Jordan, Tamar Braxton and the ongoing issue with her sisters and the WeTV network, and finally how politics affect our relationships. I'm Jarrod D. King, and I'm joined by co-hosts Brandon Harris Williams and Marcus Haynes. How you guys doing?
Good,
Good.
good.
Awesome,
Better
awesome.
after,
Listen.
yesterday, the election results
Can you
finally.
feel the brand new day?
I know. That was
Listen,
like, it was like a climax. Not to be
child.
too vulgar, but I mean,
I think that's only
kind of
vulgar
was
if
what it
you.
was.
I didn't know you meant it that way, so you said not to be too vulgar. I was like, okay.
Well, I mean, but yeah, it was like that's kind of how it was. It was like we were waiting, like, okay, let's get over it. Let's do this, and then it finally came. Um, so, Marcus, what's going on with you today? How are you?
I am here.
Come on.
It's
Here.
been it's been a rough week slash weekend, and the current events didn't really help with that. But you know what? Semester's almost over, and I am going to rejoice and be glad in
Praise
it.
him. Oh,
Yes.
hiya.
Hey, hey. As I sip my drink.
Awesome. Hey, Ty McKinney, I see you. You said you were definitely playing that song in your head
Love
from
it.
the Wiz, or no, I guess he said that was actually playing it. So yeah, so yeah, you're not alone with that. Marcus, what are you drinking today?
So I am drinking something different. I went and got a tropical sweet pink wine from San Antonio, not Texas, but the
Ooh,
winery.
Hmm,
So
okay.
we're actually gonna see how this tastes. This is my first
It
time
looks
okay,
trying it.
pretty
okay.
full. It
Take a
sounds
sip.
good.
Uh,
It's very sweet. It's extraordinarily sweet. My God. Okay.
okay, all right. Are you gonna be able to? You gonna be able to deal with it today?
Hopefully, I don't have diabetes at the end, but yes.
Brandon, what's new with you?
What is new? I've been writing more. I don't know if y'all can see my whiteboard is behind me. I'm kind of like
Mm,
trying to stay in the in
you
front of it so you can't
you
really
got
see
your
all my
screenwriter thing
notes.
going.
I do. I'm getting back to that finally, really getting things done. What else is new? I think that's it. My best friend's birthday was Friday. We did a very, very small get together last night, like three people. So that's been about it.
Okay, okay. Did I ask
I'm
you what
glad.
you're drinking? What are you drinking?
No, not yet. So I had like Stella Rose peach and I put it in my glass, but it filled it up to like right here. It was like not enough. So
Okay.
then I went and topped it off with like a red ale. I don't know if y'all know what those are.
Hmm.
Probably not the
Okay.
best mix, but we're gonna make it work. So
Hmm.
because I
Okay.
was like, my cup is not full enough.
All right. So, uh, with questionable drinks, I guess I'm rounding out the third one. This is a tequila screwdriver. So it's orange juice and
Oh, the
tequila,
tequila. Okay.
Okay.
but mm, we just gonna have to deal.
You
Yeah.
prefer a regular
Um,
screwdriver? So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not working for me. I had to put a bunch of salt around the rim to try make it like work, but we're just gonna deal today.
okay.
Um, but today well, I guess as far as my personal update, I've been doing a vlog. So I started a vlog on YouTube. I don't know if you guys saw me tweet about that or anything, but it's called
Hmm.
Bourgeois Life. So please watch that. Um, if anybody wants to be part of the Bourgeois, please, just watch the
I love
video
it.
at me, hashtag, your Bourgeois moment.
I
And
love
if you don't
it.
know what that is, that's gorgeous plus bougie. And I think
Of
I
course.
encapsulate that. So there
I
we
will
go.
give you that. Yeah.
Bourgeois. Join
Yeah.
the Bourgeois. I'm going to make Brandon and Marcus Bourgeois members just because. So
I
it's
don't know
for
if it's the bougie
everyone. Even
part,
they
but go
even they
off.
are
Go
part
I
of
off.
mean, we can make it work. We can try to make it work.
it. I guess in other news, I did mention that I lost my uncle earlier in the week. And I had tweeted about this last week or a couple weeks ago that he wanted to be on the show and wanted to talk about life in New York back when he was, he was younger
Mhm.
in the LGBT community. Unfortunately, we will not be able to get that story. I wish that I could have brought that to you guys, but unfortunately, it was just kind of a sudden thing. And then I want to say, like a couple days after that, we lost my aunt Polly.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a rough week
Yeah.
for my family. But I just want to dedicate this episode to them, and because they both watched it, they both loved it. Um, so yeah, so before I get too emotional about that, let me talk to the viewers here. If at any point you hear something you like, please give us a heart, give us a like, and I will be watching the comments and doing my best to interact with you and shout you out. In fact, if you're online right now, please give us a like on YouTube. Give us like throw up some hearts. I'm looking at the live stream. Tap. All you have to do is tap the screen a couple times. I see two people in Twitter. Just tap it. We'll get in a minute. We'll get in a minute. Okay. Uh, so let's start off with our first topic.
Okay.
And Marcus is going to appreciate this. We're going to talk about Lil Nas X and James Charles. A couple days ago, Lil Nas X of Old Town Road fame reposted a picture to his Instagram stories that got a lot of the girls talking. It was a picture of him sitting next to famous YouTube beauty vlogger James Charles, presumably as a guest on one of James Charles's videos. If you don't know James Charles for his makeup skills, you may have heard of his major drama involving other superstar beauty vloggers Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, and Toddy Westbrook. I think I got the name right. But that's neither here nor there. Twitter responded with collective angst. So I do want to just launch into this with Marcus's perspective. He had a pretty strong reaction. I think we all did, but I do want to ask Marcus, what are your feelings about this? I mean, really, it was just a picture, but a lot of people are drawing conclusions from that. So what are your thoughts?
It's more than just a picture. It's what the picture represents. It's
Okay.
it's the but no, like for me, it makes me nervous because I really like Lil Nas. Like I really like him. I like his music. I like what he represents. I like what he stands for. I like a lot of the things that he does. But something I have noticed is that maybe it's because he's young or whatever what have you. But he can sometimes be a clout chaser. Like we saw that with him like running up behind Nicki after he was quote unquote exposed for the stand page he had,
Right.
and we see this now again with oh boy, James Charles or what have you. And it's just like I've seen what happens when male rappers start to chase clout. Like this is gonna be one of our topics later. I don't want this to happen to you, and it makes me personally, it makes me nervous because this is someone who I actually like, and I'm just like I see the path that we're going down, and I really want you to stop.
I got you. Okay. And I guess, could you speak to like what path is that? Could you spell that out a little bit?
Yeah, the path of insert offset meme here, doing anything for clout. Like you out here, because like you can't get away from the racist stuff that's surrounding oh boy. Like
Mhm.
you can't you especially with someone who's as on the internet as much as he is, like these type of things. And you're doing this for what? Like what benefit is this to you to be on this racist okay, to be on this man's show? What are you getting from this? Like why are you bringing yourself down to this level,
Mhm.
and why are you risking all the backlash that's going to come with it to be on this person's show?
Got you, got you. So you brought up the racism. So I want to just spell that out for the viewers. So at 17 years old in 2017, James Charles made a racist joke on Twitter saying, quote, "I can't believe we're going to Africa today. OMG, what if we get Ebola?" Prior to that, according to Teen Vogue, he'd made posts saying more racist things, including Mexican Instagram slave and stupid Indian man. So he got dragged then and apologized. And most recently, he's been dragged for a couple of videos. One where he's imitated Rosa, the girl who was like, everybody would be scared here, or like, open your purse, like that.
Open your
Yeah,
purse.
yeah. So so he had like a heavy Latin accent or make believe accent. And there was another one where he was in a club singing along to Sweetie's "My Type," and some think he didn't censor himself when the N-word came up. Watching the video, I personally didn't think that he said it, but it's one of those gray areas. But Brandon, how does that impact your opinion of the situation at all when you hear that?
Okay, so I don't know much about him like before we were going to do this. I just know people typically don't like him. It's like it's weird. People give a lot of attention to things they don't like, and I'm just not that person. So I just was never really interested. I think for me, I was more so nervous. I think someone's like, this is a very popular person, and so why are we associating ourselves with them? Is it just because they're popular to get those more views or whatever else? I guess kind of some of the markets is saying, or is this a genuine kind of a collaboration kind of a thing? I just don't necessarily trust James' motives because I don't really know him that way.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like on some level, when he did all those tweets and stuff, he was in high school, not to excuse it and not to say that he's changed, but he had apologized for it. And now, I mean, I guess with the Rosa thing, that's not really sensitive, but I think, it's easy to kind of recreate what people are doing on TikTok. That's what people do on TikTok. They just basically steal what other people are doing and they recreate it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Is there any leeway that we give James Charles for now? I mean, as far like are we still gonna be upset with him?
I think I've. Hey, Train.
I'm gonna mute my mic because they're coming down the street.
It goes back to, like, I think I've said this on this show before. Like, I have no problem saying that, oh, this person has changed. But my thing is, you got to show me that you actually changed. And I think particularly with old boy, like, you made all these racist tweets, all these, things back in the past, which, okay, you were a child. We can kind of, all right, fine. But you're still doing the same stuff now. Yeah. And you call yourself having apologized. So to me, that says that you have absolutely not changed and you still hold a lot of these views that you did. So while I would maybe have given him some kind of leeway or some kind of, grace because he was a child, you're doing the same things at your big grown age. So
also too, I think if you said he was 17, 2017,
yeah,
so that means he's 20 now. Yeah. So it's like he's still young as hell as well. I mean, I say he could not have changed, right? But I'm also just like him as a person. He's still very young as well, and I know that's a big that gap is that age range. I guess is very much so like learning and growing and or growing up or not, or you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So I don't know if he could have gotten there yet.
Okay. So my thing with Lil Nas X, I feel like I can't really give him any leeway of not knowing what the deal is with James Charles because like you said, Marcus, he's very internet savvy. And I believe that, to my knowledge, he had some involvement with the whole emo Black Thought scandal on Twitter.
He did. I forgot about that.
Right. So that was another thing. And for those of you who don't know, the emo Black Thought was basically a viral Twitter account that everybody followed that they thought that was tweeting from a Black woman's perspective, and kind of making a lot of viral tweets and comments on, I guess, I don't know, was it pop culture and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So everybody kind of followed her. They had trust in the emo Black Thought, but then it came out that account was run by a Black man, but still. And I think, they had a relationship with Lil Nas X. Is that true?
That was what I think a lot of us were led to believe that. Okay. They were kind of fooling around, but I don't think anything was really confirmed.
Okay. So like where do we leave off with Lil Nas X? Like, are we still fans of his? Are we still with him? Or are we just kind of like keeping an eye on him? Is it just, are we pulled back a little bit, or are we completely like, nah, we're not rolling with you anymore?
I mean, but he's still young as hell too, though, because like, I think he's only maybe 21, if that. Like, so I don't know. I think I don't have as many expectations for children. So
Okay,
it's a
Marcus,
lot
how are
harder
you
to
feeling?
disappoint
Because I
me.
know, I know you were a fan. I don't know if are you still a fan?
I'm in distress. I don't know. I legitimately forgot about that. Um, and that does, for me, that does kind of give me a bit more pause because I think it just kind of adds to the whole. Well, I ain't gonna say it adds to the cloud chasing, but it does kind of give me a pause with like like you starting to become kind of like a pattern of like problematic stuff.
Mm.
Um, I still like him. I still like his music. I'm gonna be clear on that. But I think it does kind of add to the list of like, oh, you kind of fucking up. I need you to stop.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. I mean, I'm personally am at a wait and see place.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna cancel him immediately just for being on a channel with James Charles. I mean, I don't know. I guess I am. I don't know. Maybe I'm too forgiving of things. I don't know, but I'll wait and see. I'll wait and see what else happens.
Yeah.
But I think the other point was that there were so many other Black
Excuse me.
queer makeup artists that he could have done this with, that why couldn't you have hooked up with them? I mean, I feel like Lil Nas X is probably a bigger star than James Charles. I don't know,
Yes.
but I feel like he is. Um,
Yes.
and so he really could have pulled anybody up if he wanted to, and
Yeah.
done something on their YouTube channel. But
And that's, cause I'm sorry.
yeah, no.
I was just gonna say, and that's part of the thing. Like you're clout chasing, but you have more clout than most of the people you're chasing. Like I don't understand, because like, okay, I'm not gonna go down that road, but like,
The
What road is that?
Old Town Road.
the Old Town Road, yes.
Touche, Brandon. You
No.
just saved Marcus from that.
But yeah, like like you have more clout than most of these people. Like you don't need the extra celebrity. You are a bigger celebrity, and maybe that's the issue. Maybe he hasn't realized that yet. Like maybe he hasn't realized like just how big of a celebrity that he is.
Yeah, yeah. All right, all right. So I've got Mama Shay on YouTube is saying Lil Nas X likes the shock factor type of stuff too.
True.
As we've seen with a lot of the costumes and stuff that he does, especially, and even with the Nicki Minaj Halloween costume. I mean, we knew that was gonna be talked about. Uh, so yeah, we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens next. So I want to move into our next topic, which would be Monique versus Black Hollywood. Uh, on an
Wish I,
episode of Out Loud with Claudia Jordan,
oh, I
actress Monique talked about her issues with some of Hollywood's top players, specifically Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey. If you hadn't heard, back when the movie Precious was making the rounds, Monique was effectively blackballed in the industry. This was due to what many said was her difficult personality. She was asked to promote the film at the Cannes Film Festival, but declined when not offered compensation. Since then, she says Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and Oprah all privately said she did nothing wrong, but had a different story in public. During this latest interview with Claudia Jordan, Monique slammed them all for not publicly taking a stand and having her back. Monique tried to highlight Oprah's hypocrisy in taking a stand for justice with Breonna Taylor, but not her, saying, quote, as you took a stand for our sister who was murdered, you took part in murdering my career. So I want to jump to Brandon since he's our film guru on the panel. What are
Okay.
your thoughts about this?
About the whole situation,
About the whole
or
situation? Where just pick a piece and go with it.
okay,
This
so
is
I'll uh, Lord. So Precious was like 11, 12 years ago. I want to start there. Um, Monique has been doing interviews saying the same things for the past 3 to 4 years. I think at this point it's very clear they're not going to publicly say anything, especially not Oprah. I think she's even been asked about it. She's pretty much just said, or something. She said some roundabout way, like there's some negativity coming towards me. I'm not going to respond to that kind of a thing. So it was a very roundabout way because I don't think she fully addressed it, and she's not going to. I Monique is talented, and I get that she feels like she was wronged, and she was. I don't think that she should have been blackballed if she did not want to go promote a film when she had already. That's the thing, is she already fulfilled her contractual obligations to promote it domestically. They want her to do something else internationally, and she didn't want to do it because she was very busy at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't think this should be the one thing to hold her up, but I also feel like her delivery, I feel like her harping on it, I feel like her unwillingness to let it go with such anger and passion is not helping matters.
Okay. All right. Marcus, do you have any response to that, or any other thoughts?
Um, I more or less agree with most of what he said as far as like the initial situation. Like, I do believe that Monique she shouldn't have been expected to do because that's really what it was, the extra kiss ass. That's really what it was. Like, she shouldn't have been expected to do the extra stuff just to sort of like campaign and play the game. But it's called the game for a reason, and people they react negatively when you don't play along. Um, I don't think that she necessarily is doing herself any favors by still holding on to it, though I can definitely understand like why she is so upset about it. I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, I could ignore and be like, okay, Monique is just she's gonna hold on to this until they put her in the ground. But for me, the thing that kind of throws it off is when she brought in Breonna Taylor, and I'm just like,
Mm-hmm. That has
mm,
nothing to do with this.
not nothing, not nothing.
Now, see, my thing is that, like, when she talked about Breonna Taylor, looking at the full interview, it seemed like, I mean, because when I first saw it, it was just that little clip of her of
Mm-hmm.
that quote that
Yeah.
I just gave you guys. But listening to the whole thing, it sounded like she wasn't necessarily trying to compare her career to Breonna Taylor's issue. I think it was more of saying, Oprah, how dare you, stand up for one woman, but then completely kick down another.
But I don't
Um,
think. But what- why is her
Go
name
ahead,
in your
go ahead.
mouth? Like that's the like that that would work. I think if it was another Hollywood woman, like say Oprah wronged Regina King, but she made that right, and then Monique's like, well, what about me? Like, no, this is a situation of police brutality. We've been protesting all summer long. Like, we're not going to compare the two. We're not going to do that.
They have nothing to do with each other. Like, and for me, it reads like you did this just to try to drive a point home. Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
using this woman's name, like so many people have already, using this woman's again for clout, using this
Mm-hmm.
woman's name to try to invoke some sort of feeling so that people will be more so on your side. And while I do believe that you got a case, that you have a reason to be mad. Like, bringing up this woman that was murdered by police that has absolutely nothing to do with you being blackballed. Nothing.
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah. So
I,
I want to jump back a little bit because we were talking about how this unfolded,
Mhm.
and hey, I just lost my thought. The tequila is working, y'all. Let me just
I
say
love
that.
it.
Um, I'm trying to remember. Y'all said something about.
It
Uh,
unfolded.
I can't get it back. It's
You
gonna
talking about
come
the
back
initial?
later.
You talking about the initial incident
Initial.
about
The
her being
initial
blackballed?
incident, something
Uh-huh.
Okay.
about like. Okay, so I think Brandon, it was you. You were saying that she couldn't. I don't know. Okay, I'll get back to it.
You talking
You
about
want me to
her?
run it
I'll get
back?
back
You
to
want
it.
me to
Stop
run it
trying to
back? What
draw it out.
happened?
No, don't worry about it because I'm looking crazy right now. I'm gonna just go to these comments for a second. So Connected is hello, Connected. Hello, Joey. I see you. My nephew Joey is on as well. He should not be watching this, so get out of the chat. Love you.
Oh
I can't.
But Connected is saying Monique has taken roles in projects that have been spectacular since Precious. She has a right to defend herself. Should she not be expected to do something with being paid what she felt she was worth? wouldn't you defend your brand or your honor? So let's talk about that. Do you feel like she should have?
No, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with her defending herself. My issue is the way that she's doing it and the way she's harping on this. Again, for
Yeah.
the last 3 years, it's been these three people have been blocking me. I what's most interesting to me about this is how nobody else in Black Hollywood has commented at all.
Mhm.
That's what makes me question, like, you know what I'm saying? Is it like we don't want to take a side? Is it like we know Oprah's wrong, but we don't want to go against her? Is it like we know Monique's wrong, but then we don't want her attacking us now? It's very interesting to me that nobody else has said anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
on the thing of like taking sides or more so like, defending your brand, I'm always reminded that, that her beef with Tyler Perry and them and her beef like with Netflix are like two different, like pretty much two different situations. And I think everybody, especially now, has kind of agreed that, Netflix did her wrong, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's the personal nature of this one that makes people a little bit more hesitant to kind of to jump on her side. One, because, people love Oprah, they love Tyler Perry, so on and so forth. But two, it is because it is so clear that she is screaming at a brick wall that people is like, okay, girl, let it go. No, and it gets to the point where, no matter how right you are, and again, I do think that she is right. No matter how right that you are, if you keep screaming that you're right for years and years and years on end, eventually people gonna stop paying attention.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening, because even in the interview, though, she said she's never going to stop speaking on this until they say anything publicly. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, so you don't want to work again,
Basically.
which sucks because she's talented.
Yeah. I mean, and it's weird, okay, so this is what I was going to talk about. It was just about, not playing the game. And I think when this had started, I was kind of in that space where I was like, if she wants to have a successful career, she should just play the game. And I think that's what Tyler Perry,
That's what
Lee,
they've all said to
Daniels,
her
that's what
behind the
they've all said
scenes.
to her behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes. Her argument is, the only time anything changes is when you actually stand up to it. And so I think over time, people have come to her defense. And so now with this latest Breonna Taylor quote, it seems like they're kind of swinging back a little bit. I mean, it's weird to kind of see opinions kind of swing back and forth a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
It's because the Breonna Taylor thing is just too far. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Do you guys think that it's fair that she's kind of trashing the names of Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think she's hurt, and now I do think because more stuff has happened with her and Oprah as well. So I think that's why she feels so strongly against her, because it's been some stuff aside from the Precious thing. But I mean, again, she can't be wrong. I can't tell them they're wrong for their feelings being hurt or they're wrong for defending themselves. It just is like, girl, they're not going to acknowledge anything.
I'm kind of at the same place. I'm like, she has a right to her feelings, and but I also think that there has to be some understanding of their position as well. And they can't necessarily, I mean, and maybe, I don't know, are they big enough to just stand up for her and it actually means something without them being blackballed themselves? I don't know. But obviously, I mean, I don't know. I think the fact that they haven't said anything is the obvious answer to that question.
I'm surprised Tyler hasn't said anything, but I feel like he hasn't said anything because someone's in his ear.
Okay.
Tyler isn't a damn fool. Like
Tyler is what?
Oh, I said Tyler isn't a damn fool. Like he's not going to, sabotage himself, by speaking out of turn or putting himself in a position to where people turn against him.
But I think though that he's so far removed though, because he kind of like does his, like, Hollywood's here, he's over here. Sure. Or, maybe over here. But I don't think that him speaking out to me wouldn't throw me. I don't think that would sabotage anything. I feel like people are probably telling him though not to say anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm seeing some comments here. Let me just run through a couple real quick. Mama Shay saying it's got to be maddening to be victimized and no one will acknowledge it. Like y'all said, Like, say y'all did it and you're over it. Basically, just cut it. They did what they did. It's fair. Ty McKinney on Twitter / Periscope is saying that part. Oh no, that part. But I don't know what he was responding to. But he said she's she's letting her pride get in the way of her purpose.
Yeah.
Hello, Angie. Kiss my cheeks. I see you. I see you here. Okay, so I had another point to get to. Her husband, Sidney Hicks, criticized the Black community for. I see you, Brandon. I see your face, Brandon. Criticized the Black community for accusing Ice Cube of allowing himself to be used by Donald Trump, but also being mad at Monique for not allowing herself to be used by the white Hollywood industry. I'm going to mute. I have another train coming by, so excuse me.
I think her husband is the issue as well. I think a lot of people have an issue with him, and it's so wild because I think they kind of even addressed that a little bit in the interview. They were like, well, some people say your husband is difficult to work with. People don't want to work with your husband, whatever. And she was like, well, no, he's got me some of my best deals. I know that he has my back 100%. I'm never going to get rid of him. They just don't like seeing a strong Black man defend this strong Black woman. And it's like, girl, if everybody's telling your husband the reason why you're not working, maybe it's asking me to go get another job. Like, just get you some manager. Like, do y'all not want to pay the bills?
Well, in fact,
that's what throws me with like a spouse representing the talent. I'm like, okay, so if the talent is not working and you work for the talent and y'all live together, who's paying the bills? Like, who is doing
Points made. And it's so funny because I think Monique had even said that was Oprah's thing. She was like, she needed to get away from your husband. Or somebody said, I don't even know if it was Oprah, but somebody said that she needed to get away from
I think,
yeah.
And they're not wrong. He's off-putting. And that whole Ice Cube thing, it's again, this has nothing to do with this.
Right.
And see, what it is, what I like listening to both of those statements, the Breonna Taylor thing and then bringing in Ice Cube. To me, it's clear that y'all are trying to rile up Black folk to rally behind you. For whatever reason, maybe you feel like if enough Black people stand behind you, that that maybe Tyler Perry and them will say something. But the way that you're going about this, people can see right through that because people immediately see this ain't got nothing to do with what you're talking about. You're trying to make it, but it ain't working.
Right. It's like, what is the most current event that we can reach out?
Exactly.
And make
I hear what y'all saying. Time is saying, do y'all not want to pay bills? Those residuals from the Parkers must still be coming in. So maybe
for Netflix. Come on, Netflix deal.
I get a nice pretty penny from that. So I want to move into our next topic, though. I want to talk about Tamar Braxton. I want to talk about the Braxtons. Can we talk about the Braxtons?
We can. We can.
Okay. Y'all need to give me some excitement here because I'm not feeling it.
I mean, it's not that we don't want to discuss these things. It's just that it'd be so layered and nuanced.
It's a little heavy. It's a little heavy.
And then this, my drink is not helping the case. So I'm trying to make it better, but it ain't.
It's all good. So the new season of Braxton Family Values premiered this week, but not everyone was happy. When the trailer was released, Tamar Braxton wrote a series of angry tweets claiming the network WeTV was still using her for a storyline despite being off the show. This is all in reference to Tamar's suicide attempt that she thankfully survived this past summer. In an interview with Out Loud with Claudia Jordan, yet again, shout out to Claudia because she's
Claudia's
getting all the interviews. Okay?
Come on, sis.
Look, everybody was talking about the election, and so we had nothing else to talk about, so we had to go to Claudia to
and she came through.
Yeah, so in an interview with her, yet again, Tracy, Trina, and Tawanda Braxton, Tamar's sisters, who were also on the show, claimed that they didn't speak for Tamar, but felt it was disingenuous to have something so tragic happen and not react to it. They said they did not tell Tamar's story or speak for her, but only spoke for themselves and how her actions affected them. Tamar has since unfollowed her sisters and her mother on social media. I'm gonna ask Marcus. Do you think WeTV was wrong for making this tragic moment a part of the show?
Yes, but what are you going to do? Like, you you can't have, this show about this family. Somebody in the family has this huge traumatic, event that shocks them to the core and ignore it. Like in a perfect world, we wouldn't be trying to make money off of, her trying to commit suicide, her suicide attempt. Like we wouldn't be trying to make money off of that. But we're not in a perfect world. And these people got a show to make. Like it's messed up. It is. It really is. But you can't pretend that they are going to ignore the fact that, oh, my sister just tried to commit suicide. Like, come on.
Exactly. I think that, because I think Tamar has said, I'm most confused because I know they were filming last year. I think Trina got married last year, but I don't know exactly when they stopped filming. But I know she said she finished her whatever, I think, with them last August. So I think she hasn't been doing anything with WeTV since then, or maybe with the show itself. So I think I'm confused. She might have a point depending on like if they had to go back and add extra footage or do whatever, then that makes sense to me. But I think it's like you're saying though, you've been on this show 19 years, because Braxton Advisor has been on for a long time.
Yeah.
And you are the quote unquote star of the show. And so you're no longer there, because she was like, well, no other show talks about people who aren't there anymore. Like, that's not true, because Bravo TV loves the flashback. I don't know what you're talking about. So, but it's also thing too, is like you said, though, they're a family. So you can't have one of the 5 sisters, something happens and you don't address it. Y'all talk about everybody else's bad days as well on the show. So sadly, this is your day. And I get it. It's a very traumatic event. I get it. It's very personal. It's embarrassing probably to some level. It might, be more triggering for them to do it again. And they definitely did use it for ratings in the trailer. But you cannot be so naive to think that they would not have discussed it at all when the rest of your family is on the show.
Right.
Like maybe at best you could have you make the argument for them like, oh, well, y'all are like hyping this up as this is must watch TV because you can understand the backstory to a suicide attempt. But I feel like she would have had the same reaction if they had talked about it at all, and that's just unrealistic.
Yeah. We've got some different opinions in the chat. Angie from Kiss My Cheeks TV is saying WeTV. No, the family should have said no comment when it comes to the suicide attempt. Mama Shay says WeTV could have said our best wishes to Tamar. We support her and want to respect her privacy. I agree with Brandon and Marcus here. I have to go with you guys on this one. Tamar, while not necessarily a part of the show anymore, this was she brought her family into a reality show. This was her baby.
This is her idea. Exactly that. It was.
So she brought her family into the show, and now you're off the show, but this is something that impacted them. And I feel like if they handle this correctly, it can be done. But they just won't, like they said, they won't speak on your side of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If somebody, I don't know how you get away from it. I don't know how you get away from it. I mean, I think if you're doing a show, I mean, I think even from the network's perspective, it's like you kind of have to have some realism. You can't not touch on it. Exactly. Now, if they indeed did add footage to it, and it had already been filmed, they could have done, a special, like a 1-hour special with the sisters if they wanted to do that. They wanted to talk about it. Or they could have waited until next season to talk about, whatever happened. If the season had already been filmed. Done. Right. So, I mean, I get that. If that's what Tamar is saying. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was going to say, but it's not the first time they've gone back and added things. If that's what they did this time.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess so. I don't know. Reality TV is weird because part of it is just like not reality.
It's all scripted. Exactly. And I think I've been sitting here trying to think like, what would that look like if, whether it be this season or next season, what would that look like when, the time calls, we know in the timeline they should be talking about, the suicide attempt. Like, what would that look like on screen if like everybody said no comment? I'm,
But that's
I'm
what
just
they said though. It would be disingenuous. It wouldn't be real if they didn't speak on it.
And I also feel like that would honestly probably, I feel like that would also turn off the audience, because they would like, as much as we can, try to be like, oh, well, people, don't care about that. No, they do. Like, people would tune in for that. And if people know that, hey, this is the time where this happened, and ain't nobody saying nothing about it, no, this fake. I'm turning off.
Right. There,
Exactly.
I mean, there's a certain integrity that the show has to uphold, I guess. Um, so let me ask you guys: is Tamar taking things too far in terms of her anger at the network and her sisters, as far as unfollowing her sisters and her mother? Um, where do you sit with that?
I don't think so, because I think they even asked about it. They were like, well, we still talk, offline, and they all said they understood. Sometimes you just get sick of seeing whatever on your feed, your timeline, your dashboard, whatever. So they were like, they also said she's done it before, so she might do it again. They were like, to them though, social media doesn't make or break their relationship, so I don't see an issue with it if you're still communicating outside of that.
Agree. Like, I feel like social media is your personal space that you cultivate the way that you want it to. There are people who I like and will have conversations with in real life that I just don't want on my social media feed. I think people can be different on social media than they are in real life. So that's one reason. And then two, it's really truly not that serious, especially in this case, because these people are blood related. Like, you couldn't get away from them if you tried.
So y'all don't think she's taking anything? Y'all don't think she's taking it too far? You just think it's just Tamar being Tamar? Because
Okay,
I
well, there you go.
personally,
Tamar being Tamar.
Okay,
there you go.
I mean, like, you unfollow your family on, like, and I understand, like, my thing is, no, it's not that serious because you're blood related. You still have each other's numbers and you can still call and talk or whatever. But we know, I mean, if you watch the show, we know how they are. They will not speak to each other for a while, if they're upset with each other. So, I mean, you're not unfollowing. I mean, as far as we know, she's not unfollowing a whole bunch of other people. She's unfollowing her family. It's not like she deleted social media. She unfollowed her family. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit different. So it's like, well, they haven't said anything. They're still on the show that you created, and you're upset with them for talking about their feelings about a certain situation. So, okay, I don't know. Go ahead, Marcus.
I think because we know that they go stretches of time without talking to each other, I think that kind of really just underlines like that the social media thing isn't really that big of a deal. Because if they're going stretches of time without talking to each other in real life, social media is really nothing. Like, a social media unfollowing is really nothing.
I think.
go ahead.
I think too, the thing that's most interesting is they've been doing reality television for, again, like 10 years. I think probably every person probably gets that moment. They're like, I don't want this on TV, but this is also what you've signed up for. Like we said, oh, this is what you created. So that sucks. This is what comes with that, with like getting this easy money or this, what I'm saying, hanging out with my sisters on TV. Also comes with the fighting with each other for the world to see. Also comes with these moments that you don't want us all to know about or share, that are shared, because this is part of the deal.
Yeah, I hear you. So we have a lot of comments about this, and I feel like we're on the opposite side of our viewers, which is interesting. So Angie is saying they need the money, so they need the show, but they have enough drama between them where the discussion of suicide did not need to happen. Mama Shay is saying, I don't want to see people capitalizing on my mental health. Protect your peace by any means necessary. We have somebody on our side, Ty McKinney. Hey, Ty. Tamar can be dramatic at times, but she's... Oh, no, wait. No, he said she's right in being combative against the network. So never mind. He's not on our side.
But there's also thing, too, is like, last season, though, I think ended with the whole Iyanla thing. No, not the Iyanla thing. I think it was Iyanla, and then they had a big blow up when Trina got engaged or whatever. So it's like the sisters are already like fractured, probably when filming or whatever started. And Tamar is part of that fracture. So even if they are on the journey to getting better, if this is happening on that journey, you got to discuss it. Because say, 1 week she might be fighting with somebody, and the next week everybody's like all rallying around her. We need to know why you're rallying around her. Why are you guys good this week? well, last week you were just fighting. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
wouldn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to see what other comments we have real quick just to round out this topic. Connected thinks the drama is BS. This particular issue I don't think is BS, but a lot of the other drama, maybe it's a little bit played up for the cameras. But that's why we love reality, or that's why I love reality TV, because it's dramatic. What can you say?
I've always believed all of their fights. I've always believed them.
You think their fights are fake?
I think they're very dysfunctional. I think they're all very real.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think they're very dysfunctional. I think.
Yeah, no, I think they've got an interesting dynamic on that show. It's interesting. So while we're talking about suicide, I want to say if you're thinking about suicide, or you're worried about a friend or a loved one, or would like emotional support, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or visit the Lifeline chat. The crisis text line can also be reached by texting hello to 741-741. So now let's move into our last topic, which is politics and relationships. So
Okay.
I think this will be an interesting twist, because I really don't like to move into politics on this show, but because of the week that we've had, I feel like there's no
Unavoidable.
way. I feel like there's no way that we can not talk about it, So I've tried to put a boys and brunch spin on this to make this a little bit lighter than the deep politics talk. So just yesterday, we emerged from what felt like the longest election ever. Joe Biden beat Donald Trump and will be the 46th president of the United States. But in the past 4 years, something has changed in America. We've become much more divided. Where we once could tolerate, listen, and even love one another despite our political differences, we are now so quick to judge and dismiss. This has been illustrated in the relationships of high-profile celebrities like Lil Wayne and Lady Gaga. Lil Wayne recently came out in support for Trump, which was reportedly a big part of his breakup to the model Denise Bidot. In one of Trump's speeches, he trashed Lady Gaga, and just 2 days after, her father tweeted support for Trump, saying simply Trump 2020. So I think it's accurate to say that all of us in this show, Brandon and Marcus, that we're part of the political left, correct? Just confirm that. Okay, so could you ever be in a relationship with someone who is more conservative?
No.
And why
Or
not?
I can't be. I can't. Not a.
Not a Trumper.
Republican. No, that part. I don't. I think because I can be conservative about some things. I think though it comes to a point. It's like, okay, you can't. Like you say, not a Trumper. Somebody who's clearly a bigot, who's clearly all of the phobias, who's clearly all of the isms. Like, no, this does not work. So no.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Marcus?
Simply because that's just not the way that I move. Like I can't deal with someone. Clearly, I can't deal with somebody who has racist views. Clearly, can't deal with someone who has homophobic views, even self-hating ones. Clearly, I can't deal with transphobia. I got too many trans friends and family members. Like, no. So a lot of that stuff is fundamentally against who I am as a day-to-day person. So when we wouldn't work on that, on that sort of scale. And then also like something that I'm finding more and more as they show these people online and on the television, are these people really they're not that smart.
Stop the count. We're already winning.
Or they just straight up can't count.
I hear you. Okay, so I can't. I have a confession to make. I cannot count to save my life. I am a writer. I am on the strict end of the writing side. I am horrible with numbers. But yeah, I mean, as far as having somebody, of being with somebody in a relationship, I won't necessarily say no to somebody who's a little bit more conservative, but it really depends on specific issues.
Things, yeah.
I mean, I would expect a gay conservative to not be anti-trans, or anti-gay. I would hope that it would just be more financial reasons, maybe, some other things, maybe, that maybe we could just agree to disagree on and move on. But the deep issues about like identity, that kind of like, like who I am as a person, the Black Lives Matter movement, uh, you know, the Roe v. Wade, the
You can't be
pro-choice,
with all
pro-life
lives
thing.
matter gay. You can't do that.
No.
What about blue lives matter?
Mm-mm.
No, it's not.
No.
Woo, I need some stronger than this wine.
But it's so, I mean, and I really have, like, I don't know, I've kind of exemplified this in my past relationships. I've been with a guy who was like pro Palin, in fact. And yeah. I know y'all looking at me like I'm crazy.
I forgot she
But
existed. I ain't gonna lie.
right. But and even that was just like, all right, wait a minute. Like, how far are we going with this? So it was different. But I mean, that should have been. I mean, obviously, I'm not with him anymore, so that should have been like the first sign. But I mean, I could have been. Go ahead, Marcus.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like it is. I think you make a good point that there are kind of like levels, I guess, levels to conservatism a bit, because if we look at just Black people in general, a lot of us are conservative to to an extent. But there are some things that we all have different lines. Because like I know I messed around with a dude. I ain't gonna say we were straight up dating, but I messed around with a dude who just was vehemently against anything other than like cisgender expression. Like he didn't like drag queens, didn't understand trans folks, so on and so forth. And that was, for me, that was a big one of the big reasons why I kind of had to kind of like step back, because it was so strange to me to see somebody gay who just didn't, who that was part of their conservatism. So I think like that level is just, it's beyond what I can tolerate. But now that I sit there and think about it, I feel like, as sad as it is to say, if you're with somebody Black, you're gonna have to deal with some level of conservatism just because of the way that a lot of us are raised.
Yeah. Yeah, like, because a lot of Black people would be Republicans if it wasn't for the blatant racism of the party. So
honestly.
The chat blew up. They got their torches and pitchforks out for Jarrod D. King, y'all.
Oh no!
You being with the Palin supporter? Is that what it is?
Mama Shay is like, bestie, I'm ashamed.
A mess.
And Connected say, pro Palin, you poor thing, Lord. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I was younger. I wanted to be in love, and I'm trying to be open. I'm trying to not be so closed off to certain things, So I guess that was kind of my mindset going in there. I mean, I think now, I mean, like Trump for me, a Trump supporter is like a non-starter, because he's a different kind of Republican. But even if you were a little bit more conservative, I would have to investigate that a little bit more before I decided to see you consistently, So what about if you have conservative views in the family? How do you handle that situation? Let's go with Brandon.
As far as what, like, you have family members that are like more conservative?
Yeah, family members are more conservative, but you can't necessarily get away from them because they're your family. So how do you handle that situation?
You can distance yourself. Yeah. I have a cousin who's pretty Hotepish, or and I just kind of like, okay, you got it. Like, I'm not even, because it's like certain people you try to have a conversation with and you realize they're not listening to understand at all, or they've already have all of their arguments lined up or whatever. So you're like, it's fine, whatever. So you just protect my peace and just don't even Don't engage in anything remotely political. We'll only talk about family things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even that is dangerous territory.
Yeah. But see, it's like, and I think some people will try to argue that you can do that with your relationship as well. And you're saying that that's not, well, it's not ideal, of course, but it's,
I think it's different. Like with the relationship, most times though, you're trying to like merge lives together versus like a family member. If you're an adult, they live where they live, you live where you live, so you don't have to even really deal with their
Okay.
politics or whatever on a day-to-day basis, kind of a thing.
gotcha.
Yeah, like I look at it this way, you if you distance yourself from your family members, you're estranged. If you distance yourself from your relationship, you're broken up. Like it's a different level for me. And I think kind of bringing back up the example that you brought up, like when you have the situation of you have someone who is talked down about your daughter, and then you go back and support them, it's like, okay, clearly you mean me no good, so I wash my
Hello.
hands of this. But if this had like you can do that and still, move about your life on a day-to-day basis. If that was to happen with someone who you're supposed to be, dating, living with, what have you, we got a problem because you're in my house and you have these feelings, or you're seeing me on the regular. We're having sex and you have these feelings. This is not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. Okay. Um, okay. So, I mean, I guess specifically about these instances that I brought up, like, how do you feel about uh, Lil Wayne and his girlfriend? And okay, go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, real talk. Can Lil Wayne vote?
Actually,
And
that
I
was a
just
thing online. People were
and
saying
I
he
just
can't
really
vote.
and I don't know if people who can't vote should be endorsing politicians one way or the other.
Mm,
I feel like that makes it
okay.
worse because if you can't vote and you still sitting up here throwing your support behind this politician, you trying to get your fans to do that, and fuck you for that.
Hmm.
Or especially somebody who is bad as a Trumper. I'll take it back, yeah, because I think I wouldn't be mad if people was like we're Biden Harris. So I think it's just because of who who it is. It's very much so yeah, it's for what though? It's like I can't vote, but if I did, this is what I would vote for. Why do we need that information?
Brandon, you're hilarious.
I just want to know.
What about Lady Gaga and her father? Because I feel like that was, I feel like that was, I feel like that was the definition of shade right there, because it wasn't pointed. It wasn't like an fu. Like Donald Trump
Mm-hmm.
said something about your daughter, and then 2 days later you go and say you just tweet Trump 2020 out of nowhere, and we know
Call
what you're
them and cuss
talking
them
about.
out.
Like,
Listen, listen. The level
But
of
also,
cuss out which you have never seen
right.
before.
Because were her and her dad, were they in a good place? Do we know before this?
from
Or,
my knowledge, they had. I mean, I've seen that he said that they have a very easy going kind of relationship. And that she
won't be
bought
easy
him
no more.
Oreos for Father's Day or something like that. So it's a very kind of easygoing kind of
Yeah.
relationship. They're not in a bad space, but
They are
I
now.
rem- right. It's been a minute since I followed Lady Gaga for real, but I remember she used to talk about her dad. Like I think she talked about him specifically in one of her older songs.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about how he may not have been like the best growing up because he had his own issues, whatever. But she kind of
Mm-hmm.
she built enough of a relationship to want to kind of to bring them together. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
Speechless was basically about trying to convince him. I think it was to stop drinking or something to that effect.
okay.
So they had a decent enough relationship, but this is so direct, so pointed that it's just like,
Okay.
oh yeah, no, you don't care shit about me.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah. So in Joe Biden's speech last night, did you guys watch Joe Biden's speech
I missed
last
it.
night?
Yeah.
Okay. So he spoke about the end of demonization of one another. Do you think we can get back to being more civil to one another? And like, what would that take? I mean, because right now, okay, so basically, I mean, if you
No.
hadn't watched the speech, maybe I have to spell it out a little bit more. But basically, he said, we're kind of battling each other from two different sides. There's Like, and I guess I can speak to my own view is that, you know, prior to Donald Trump, it's like we'd have an election and we'd get really heated during the election, but then we'd die down and then we'd be America, right? We'd kind of be one people with our little.
I mean,
It wouldn't be constant political rhetoric all the time, and I feel like where we are right now. Okay, so
I I would say that maybe 8 years ago. I think Obama's second term definitely kind of like ignited some things,
okay.
or his second like election. I think in and then his term, and then I think Trump kind of like stacked on top of that. I think, but we've always been divided. I just think the past 8 years has been getting more and more like in your face, more and more like I'm bold, I can do this, especially when the person in office um is encouraging bad behavior.
Hmm.
I think you're being generous by saying Obama's second term, because I really think it was his first.
I think they turned it up a notch. The second one, I think they
It,
was like, they was like, oh
okay.
fuck this nigga, like ER, like
hard ER. But yeah, no, like I think it really depends on like what perspective you're looking at, because like Brandon said, like we never really been just completely united. I think now it is a lot more in your face, so people are a lot more emboldened. And then, you know, social media again still plays a big role, because anybody and everybody can share their thoughts with the world. So we're seeing a lot more through that. But I didn't see the speech, but just hearing him say like, "Oh, we need to." I did hear him say, you know, like, we need to basically reach across the aisle, and you know, we need to stop being each other's enemies. I'm like,
no,
Well, what's so
no,
wrong with that,
no.
though? That's what I'm trying to understand. Because I mean, and even, you know, Mama Shay saying there's no common ground for me with someone who literally thinks I'm less deserving because I'm black.
okay,
Like, and I
okay.
get that. I get that. But not everybody who's a conservative thinks that way. I
Okay,
don't think so.
more, most of them.
Okay.
I feel like you kind
I
of
think.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Okay, I think he has to be more inclusive because he's the president elect for everybody. So you have to appeal to everyone now. I get that. My issue though is just Democrats in general are more like we'll be the bigger person. We won't really do that. And it's like, well, y'all keep losing. So maybe I'll do some underhanded, some shady shit and make it right. Like fuck.
Call up Liv. Get some shit going. Get command. I knew that was gonna turn you up. Anyway, but no, like I feel like it's this kind of thing where you have to really, it's just not realistic. Like, and what it reminds me of a quote that like Crystal said from the read. It's like, you know, that's to be like, oh well, we can stop treating these people like enemies. And I was like, that's just the widest thing. Because just like what the commenter said, like, what common ground can you make with someone who looks at you and says that you are lesser, like you don't matter, like,
right.
and
You're not
especially
fully a person. Yes.
especially all of us as Black queer folk, like, no, reach across what? Hell no.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that we're really only gonna be button heads.
Yeah, I think because the right tends to view anytime we gain access or rights or privilege or whatever as taking something away from them. So if you fundamentally view us as less than, how will we ever see eye to eye to reach across?
Gotcha.
I'm not going to say that we will forever and always be butting heads, but I think that we are not the ones who need to be making the concessions. We are not the ones who need to be reaching across the aisles, because for the most part, we are not the ones who have created the aisle in the first place. I think that reaching across has to be from the other side. And until they get to the point where they feel like, okay, this is something that needs to happen, then yes, we're going to be butting heads. But if, that great getting up morning happens, where they decide that, things need to change, then yeah, we can definitely, clearly people will be willing to reach across the aisle.
Got you. Okay. I mean, and I can feel that because we didn't put ourselves in this situation, Black or gay people. So specifically with our experiences,
Mhm.
I would say even women as well, or immigrants, Native American.
Everybody.
So I might be
Okay, right? Everybody who's not a straight white man.
basically. So anyway, I mean, I just it's scary to think that we can't get out of the warring scenario. It feels very combative
Tense.
and
Mhm.
tense, and I don't like it, and I wish that it wasn't that way, but I mean that's where we are. And unfortunately, I mean, right is right and wrong is wrong. So I guess maybe, hopefully Joe Biden can be somebody who kind of pushes us forward a little bit.
Yes.
I
We
mean,
need him to
I
do his
guess that's,
job for 4 years and then we can get somebody else. Yes.
yeah, you know.
Woo, child, you just got some angry acts just at that moment.
Jeez Louise.
No,
Ain't nobody.
nothing against him, but he's like 78, 79. This man's not gonna make it 8 years. Like, let's not play. It's not.
Well,
Just go to the next thing, please.
I hope he does. And
I want
if
a Democrat to replace him. I just don't. I don't see him making it 8.
I got what you're saying, but I think he's going to run for re-election. I don't see him not running for re-election.
At 82? Okay.
Please go to the next topic.
That's the problem. We don't have any more topics. We're over time. I didn't even know how far over time we were. We're at like it's 2:07. We need to let these people go. So okay,
But
well,
am
I just want to say my
Marcus,
last
am I
thing.
wrong?
I just want to say our last thing. I'm just going to skip past that. It's just funny because I feel like we're living in a macro version of Mean Girls. The scene where she like threw up the burn book in the hallway, and then the whole school was starting to fight each other. I feel like that's where we are right now, and I hope at some point we are able to calm it down and not end up in some kind of a civil war or something because of our views. I hope we're able to talk to each other. That's just my hope. So with that said, the three of us live on Twitter, so please follow us if you want to continue the conversations had here and to get to know our viewers better. I'm at Jarrod D. King on Twitter. Brandon is at Just Call Me Otis, and Marcus is at Loose as a Deuce. If you need to figure out how to spell deuce, then it's DEUCE. Or I have those links in the show notes on YouTube. If you enjoyed our conversation and want to see more, it's absolutely necessary that you let us know. Like, share, subscribe, give us a podcast review, and please show us some love. It's our lifeblood. So with all of that great conversation we had today, until next time, please raise your glasses, everyone. Until next time, be careful what you say because the boys will brunch. Take care. See.